we have Vontae Davis. Former Miami Dolphins and Indianapolis Colts cornerback Vontae Davis was found dead in his South Florida home on Monday, but police say no foul play is suspected. Police in the Fort Lauderdale suburb of Davie said they responded to a medical emergency at Davis' home Monday morning, but the 35-year-old was dead when officers arrived. No cause of death has been released pending autopsy results.
Now this brother he left the game on top of his game. He left early, being conscious of the fact that people are having all these CTE complications. And I mean, this kind of came out of the blue. I didn't know that, Vernon Davis was his brother, the great San Francisco 49er tight end who was like a blazing, speedy, humongous tight end. So obviously they had great genetics in their family because Vontae was an amazing shutdown corner. But I mean, it's a testament to of the violent nature of that sport, if that was what it was, because we, as far as we know, his brother said he didn't mess with drugs or stuff like that, and it just seems like natural causes, no foul play. But it's a very violent sport, and I know you, brother Vic, you're someone who actually played football in college,
Yeah.
so you know a little something about the violent nature of the sport.
Yeah, I never played at the pro level, but I played at the Division One AA level, and we played different sport positions. The brother was a cornerback, and his brother, as you mentioned, was a tight end. But one of the things that we did learn years later, and I'm talking about my generation of football players, was that there was a thing called CTE, and CTE, which you learn about, is just like how your brain is jogged every time you really clash with another person, and it kind of it really messes with your equilibrium, and we've seen even with like Junior Seau, he actually lost his life due to the conditions of CTE, and there's been actually a strong movement for people who believe that the sport itself should be banned, because there's really nothing to prevent against it. And again, we don't know all the ins and outs right now in terms of the autopsy, in terms of Vontae Davis. I don't want to completely speculate, but what I will say is, again, being a person who played the sport, the physics of the game is a very brutal one. I think as fans, people who have never played may not understand that, just the concept of just like two people, and sometimes even more than two people, but we'll say it on a one-on-one basis, running at a very high speed at each other and then colliding with one another over and over and over and over again. And the sport doesn't have a weight class. You can be 5'9", 160 pounds, and then another guy on the field can be 6'6", 290 pounds. There's no, it's a different kind of sport. You really have to be a gladiator from that standpoint. So, but God bless the brother. He was a top athlete, and I couldn't imagine. I know his brother Vernon is just like in tears to lose a sibling, a brother, both of you guys ascending to the highest ranks of professionalism, and then to see, your brother lose his life at such a young life. I mean, there's still so much life to live. It's so tragic.
It is. And that's the thing about this sport. I got a lot of friends. Shout out to my brother Paxton, who's kind of complaining about some of the rule changes. Like they're talking about that drop hip tackle. And, a lot of people feel like, oh, you're turning this into touch football. But I mean, these are real human beings that are having real complications for this type of stuff. So it's not that they're taking away the ability to tackle. It's the twist part of it. And that's something that's rarely done. And when it's done, it's a high chance of injury. So they're just cleaning it up. So it's not, these are still human beings. They're going to be human. We got to think about what they're going to be after the sport. And it's like just me and my brother Brick Walls, we always talk about, I still got lingering injuries from breakdancing. So, it be what it be. So,
One of the things that I'm glad that they improved upon when I was playing, they did have a penalty, which was targeting if you used your helmet. But if you look at some of the tapes in the 70s and the 80s, they really called that, man. They really called that. You know, football players were going like a heat-seeking missile at somebody directly with their head, you know. And then they, to your point, Brother Thomas, you know, they made more of an effort to like look, we ain't gonna tackle like this anymore. You know, we just, you know, we're not going to use that for a variety of reasons. I mean, you know, that can lead to, like, you know, paralysis, you know, as well as other things in terms of like injuring not only yourself but the other person.
We got to think about the bigger picture, and not only that is you also think about the youth that are getting to it, because a lot of these football players, like for example Derrick Henry, who's one of the most bludgeoning physical power backs that you've ever seen, he talks about there's no way that he'd let his kids play football.